There we go. So we can see the whole screen. Tweet. And we're kicking off a live on a Friday, 7:01 p.m. Last day of the month of June. We are beginning the 4th of July weekend. And we want to thank you for clicking on. We're going to run through the stories. We're going to do it in under 30 minutes. That's almost a promise. And our first story of the evening starts out with the Indiana Supreme Court ruling states' near total abortion ban is constitutional. Okay, that was ruled today that the near total abortion ban in Indiana is indeed constitutional from the Indiana constitutional point of view. However, a second challenge to the law remains. So the ban will not go into effect at this time. All right, let me repeat that. State ruled today that it is constitutional. However, there is another challenge that is involved. So, and that challenge remains to be heard. So for now, anyway, the total ban in Indiana will not go into effect. All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for clicking on. It is a Friday Night Live. We're going to do this really quick. Good evening, Nancy. Good evening to all of you. Thank you all for watching. We're going to do this really quickly here. Run through our stories, and there's some things that just I need to get out while I can, while we have the time, and buzz through them. And let's head on doing that. That was our first story of the night, and we've got stories from all over the world. And from Washington, D.C., but starting here in Indiana. This comes from Donald Trump. I predict that the racist district attorney in Atlanta, with the per capita worst crime record in the country, Fannie Willis, where murderers get away with murder and are seldom charged and almost never prosecuted. The charges will be dropping all charges against me for a lack of a case. I made a perfectly legal phone call as President of the United States about an election that I strongly feel was rigged and stolen. None of the many lawyers on the call minded my words or even hinted at wrongdoing. Scam, scam, scam. Don, sorry, buddy, but you did not make a perfectly legal call. Making the call was legal. And the legal people listening on your end didn't mind because they were in on it. But you tried to pressure them into finding votes that weren't there, and that's going to be big trouble for you, Mr. Former President number 45. And speaking of him, in case you missed it today, I don't want to do that. Hang on. Get rid of that. In case you missed it today, this was the former President Trump's welcome into Philadelphia. A lot of FU Trader and lock him up coming from the Philadelphia streets as the former president rolled into town, and he was there to speak to the Moms for Liberty movement, and it's their national conference, and Philadelphia is hosting that national conference. And here's another clip. Well, why did that do that? Here's another clip. This is a concerned woman who's concerned about the banning of books, and she's trying to. Hold on a second. Let me adjust this. And let me adjust this. Hold on. And there we go. Well, let's just listen. And this comes from Scootercaster again.
I don't think so. I have two grandchildren. I'll be giving it to. Can I give it to your daughter to read? What? You don't even know what's in it. You have no clue.
Why are you afraid of her?
Why are you afraid of her looking at a book?
Why are you afraid of knowledge?
If you want to bring her up, thinking the whole world is a white supremacist nation? No. How do you know? Have you read them?
You didn't read them. You don't know. It's very cute book. Very cute book.
I'm a grandparent of truth. I'm Caucasian, just like you, but I don't think like you. Look at this book. Families, adopted families, step families. Are you afraid looking at this? Is this pornography to you? I don't think so.
Nah, she's fine. No, we had more amassed the whole COVID. We never got. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask you, what do you find objectionable about this book that you were to show?
I don't know what that book is.
So,
I haven't had a chance to read it or anything. I'm not gonna read it right now.
You're traumatizing your child.
this includes you.
So
I don't
that's,
think so.
again, that comes from Scootercaster. And that's what was going on outside the Moms for Liberty. Outside the Moms for Liberty National Conference today. Okay, I want to hold on to that. Let's come up here to the top. This came in from, this happened last night in Washington, D.C. For those that aren't aware, there's been a vigil is what they're calling it. There's been a vigil going on outside the jail where many of the insurrectionists that have been charged or are awaiting court or awaiting sentencing where they are held. There's been a vigil. There have been counter protesters to that vigil. We talked on here last night about Taylor Taranto being arrested behind the house of the former President Obama and his family in the Washington, D.C. area. And one of the people that Taylor was associated with was a guy named Danny. We've mentioned him on here before too. His vehicle got towed last night. In the process of all of that going on, another person that some of you may know, Defender of Ants is the name he goes by. He was, pull this out. He was in a little confrontation with one of the police officers downtown, and this comes from Grab Him by the Indictment.
Jackson, or is it just me?
The name of the tweeter is Grab Him by the Indictment, and this is a brief look at the altercation between one of the protesters, Defender of Ants. Some of us know him really well. He's been on the show before, and others you may not know about any of this lore, and the lore is not really as important as the altercation for those of you that don't know who any of these people are.
What? Is he allowed to talk? Well, is that okay? Is he talking so loud, Jackson, or is it just me? Only on this side.
And a warning for adult
Oh,
language.
so talking at 9:30 gets you arrested, Jackson? I'll leave. You're just making up. Can I cross the street, sir? Sir, please. See, I'm a slave.
Get off the corner so he can walk back that way.
God
There you
damn.
go.
Making up rules.
can make some handcuffs work too. We took one man and sent him up out of here. We took another man and locked him up today. You won't be far behind playing games with me, okay? I'll let you know that.
What law did I break?
Don't worry, you'll find one. You'll find one to break. And I'll be sure to put my handcuffs
What?
on.
Sergeant
How about that?
Riley's way better than you, huh? I like Riley.
Sergeant Riley better than the mother.
Oh yeah. That's how you guys talk, huh? Professional, Jackson. I like this guy. At least the security, the guard here knows how to talk to people like a human. That video is Mickey doing something for you, Jackson?
Okay. Again, that was an altercation, an exchange, let's put it, between Defender Vance and one of the police officers, Sergeant Jackson. Tweet comes from Grab Him by the indictment, and trying to get it. All right. And I mentioned that the vehicle that had been towed belonged to someone named Danny Wayne. Not going to mention his last name. Here's his comments on what happened and his association with Taylor Taranto, pardon me. And I just want to read this. This comes from Sunshine 29. Seems Danny Wayne has some knowledge of the backpack, phone, laptop, and a buried girl with question marks, but is oblivious to the fact that Taylor was behind Obama's house. Okay, here we go. Let's just pop this out so it doesn't stop on us. Redo the whole thing and here we go.
Morning, America. This here's for a special announcement for all you Facebook jailbirds, all you YouTube lovers. Taylor Taranto is in the gulag. They've arrested him for trumped up charges, suspicious activity in an easement behind somebody's house. He was picking up my flagpoles over at the Freedom Corner because the cops seized my property and I had to take the tall poles down off the front. So they've seized my pole. What happened is Taylor went over to pick up my pipes over my flagpoles over there at the Freedom Corner where I left them at. On the way back, he got the GPS on my computer that was lost 6 months ago when they arrested me and that girl disappeared. She could be buried out there as well. And so they just made up a trumped up charges. Oh, isn't that a reckoning fact? Trump charges. Oh, wow. I think we just invented a new
No.
corruption.
No.
They charge him with corruption.
No,
It'll be
but
called Trump.
yeah,
Anyways, they've
you know what?
arrested him for,
He does have something here. When in the Civil War, after the Civil War, when President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, Booth allegedly broke his ankle when jumping from the balcony onto the stage of the theater, and made an escape, and because he injured his ankle, he stopped for treatment at a doctor sympathetic with the Confederate cause, and that doctor was named Mudd, and M-U-D-D, and after that, the saying quickly generated, "Your name is Mudd," for anyone that was totally totally out of luck, totally down on their luck. Let's put it that way. Totally disparaged. Your name was Mudd. So now maybe in the future, anytime somebody does something very corruptive, it's just called a Trump. Danny may be onto something. Here we go.
suspicious activity. And he, like I said, he had my pipes in there. He was following the GPS on my laptop that
Pipes. There was some reference to possible drug involvement. This is twice that he said pipes, and then corrects it and says poles. He was there. He's worried about his flagpoles. I think he might be more worried about some pipes and some possible drugs that he had in Taylor's van. That's just supposition, of course, but let's listen.
Girl apparently stashed out in the woods there, and he did find it. What an amazing person. He really is a very powerful ally for America, a veteran, a family man, a proud, brave patriot, even in times of peace, fighting corruption in America, and he is in jail. District of Columbia Police has managed to get charges against him, and so that's it. I've already put it on Facebook. I just wanted to let I'm trying to get this out to his wife back home in Washington State, because she's going to definitely be very worried, because he is always in contact with her. Okay? Now, first of all, thank you, Taylor, for all you've done, and I don't know what I could do. I'm hoping somebody will reach out and you know, we don't want to get a lawyer and go through their soap opera. We don't want to get a lawyer and play into their Hollywood movie.
No,
we want our
don't do
rights.
that. Don't get a lawyer.
Columbia revoked. They are such a
Represent yourself
If you don't do
in
what the
potentially
cops tell you, they're just
attempting
gonna
to
make shit up.
assassinate
They
a
gonna make
former
shit up.
president. Don't get a lawyer.
District of Columbia is the most corrupt place I've ever seen in my life. And everybody knows it, and everybody runs away. Everybody runs away. So, you know, y'all see where I'm at. I've posted my location. I need my flagpoles. I need my flagpoles.
Okay, hold on a second here. Now, allegedly, this guy had his truck taken with a Harley Davidson in the back and all of his belongings, and his concern is his flagpoles. I don't know as that adds up. All right, that's it. That's the end of it. Anyway, that was a gentleman known as Danny Wayne, and again, that tweet from Sunshine 29. And he is a known associate of Taylor Taranto, as is a gentleman named Tommy Tatum. A lot of people on the January 6th corner, everyone on the January 6th corner, just about. We're going to hear from Trey Crowder coming up here in a little bit. I'm not sure what this is. I imagine it is a drill. I imagine it is a guard drill that is ongoing. Crap. Keep hitting the wrong button. I imagine it is a guard drill that is ongoing in California, but nonetheless, one thing I'm not certain about. There's several pictures with troops in the back of trucks, which is normal, but one of the pictures, it appears that they're in full gear and armed, which I found a little odd. I don't know. Again, this is in East LA. Believed to have been earlier today. And that was the vehicle right there where it appeared that they were in full gear and armed. I don't know if they travel that way, but we'll watch it to the end here. Again, there goes a truck with troops in it, which I think's pretty normal. And it's this truck right here. You can pause it. Those of you that are in, and check and see if they've got weapons. That one that just went by there with troops in the back. Again, I don't know if I was sent this, and I don't know if it's. I'm assuming, like I said, that it's just basic routine guard movement through East LA. Lockheed Martin is trending on UFO Twitter now. It was trending on just regular Twitter. There have been rumors that one private company, that most of the alien technologies, etc., craft were in government control. However, there was one private company that had one of the alien aircraft, and it appears Lockheed Martin looks like they might be currently trying to get rid of their exotic materials to prevent any potential public outburst or legal repercussions. We've been talking a little bit about UFOs. We're expecting some kind of upcoming announcement from Congress, more hearings, and I've got an adjacent story here. Let me pull this. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. Okay. This comes from Brian Johnson. According to Ed Harris, this is why President Carter cried after his UFO briefing. Before I begin reading this, it is alleged, is the word. It is alleged that the first president to meet with aliens was Harry Truman, and that this occurred in 1953, and that he had to sneak away from his own security, and that every president since had a briefing. I find it hard to believe Donald Trump had a briefing and hadn't said anything about it, but they could have stonewalled him, and he could have just not pursued it. Carter and Reagan had both seen UFOs, or had unverifiable flying phenomenon that they had both experienced. So with all that being said, here's what Ed Harris, former research associate at NASA, wrote. Yes, the incident of Jimmy Carter crying after being briefed about classified information regarding UFOs is largely believed to be true by the serious researchers on the subject. As a forewarning, the following information is very unsettling and will explain why Carter never kept the promise of revealing classified UFO information to the public. According to the story that was corroborated by more than one witness, U.S. presidents are only given a cursory overview of the subject. Apparently, the CIA runs the program, only provides information to the president on a need-to-know basis, and do not consider presidential curiosity as sufficient needs to know. This was implemented after Kennedy, and all presidents after him have been given only summary briefings. Some presidents, for unknown reasons, were given more than others. So maybe Trump wasn't told at all, which I'm gonna go with. Trump wasn't told at all, because if he had, he'd already been blabbing it. Okay, on to the question. President Carter is we're down here for those reading along. President Carter is a deeply religious man who also witnessed a UFO with 6 other people. Everyone thought that he would be the one to finally release UFO info to the public, but as the story goes, he was repeatedly stonewalled. Eventually, the CIA had, quote, the talk, end quote, with him, and afterwards it was reported that he sunk his head in his hands and not only began to deeply sob, but was also visibly disturbed for some weeks after. What was he told? and shown. This is all allegedly, remember, but allegedly, according to Ed Harris, here is what he was told. He was told that the major religions, including Christianity, were programs created by extraterrestrials to prevent us from destroying ourselves while they ran their experiments on us, and that they made us. At this moment, it became clear to Carter that such information could cause tremendous economic and social upheaval. I should add that I am not only a Christian, but a clergyman, so I am in no way attempting to promote atheism here. In fact, how God fits into this might be an interesting separate post. Nevertheless, these are the facts as I know them to be. And again, that comes from Ed Harris. So, this is why I've been wanting to have a significant discussion on aliens and the impact on Christianity. I had heard this information for a while, and it does indeed play in, and we will. We're going to have a discussion coming up soon. Okay, this comes from anonymous, and I'm sure they won't mind me sharing this little bit here. Please note that when the U.S. employ armed thugs, okay, this is their words. Please note when the U.S. employs armed thugs, they're contractors, while they are described as mercenaries whenever anyone else does it. And I've been talking a lot about the Wagner or Wagner, as it's kind of pronounced here in America. And I've been using mercenaries quite frequently. So we have organizations here that provide security, as it is termed, and we refer to them as contractors. We also have some women here that we highlight every once in a while who are diehard supporters of Trump. They exist in Russia too, and I'm going to pull this out, give you a listen to the Russian grannies. All right, here we go.
Отряды Путина. Просто восхищаемся своим президентом, что он так быстро и так сконцентрировался и разрулил быстро ситуацию, которая произошла. Да, мы знаем, что у нас президент все может, что бы ни случилось, и не допустил военного мятежа. Мы прекрасно представляем, что ты, Байден, здесь запустил свою руку. Здесь без тебя бы ничего бы не обошлось, и без западников, и без НАТО. Вы все это готовили давно. Это вы сейчас теперь уже узнали. Но не получилось у вас. Не получилось переворот, вы хотели сделать в России. Не получилось только благодаря, потому что у нас такой президент. Быстро, красиво, все отреагировал. И все президента поддержали. Вся страна поддержала.
What he actually did was he flew away as quick as he possibly could to St. Petersburg, Russia, to avoid all potential conflict. But that's not how the lady sees it. Okay, and again, the whole country doesn't support him. Just like here in the United States, when the Trump people say, all us Americans, all Americans love Trump. Anybody doesn't love Trump, well, you just ain't American. You must be a communist or a Soviet or a socialist or some otherist, because you can't be American if you don't love Trump. It goes on in Russia too. So, just a little something to think about. It's not just here. So does that mean that there's a potential neo-Nazi white supremacist cult going on in Russia too, just like there could be here. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I just give you things to think about. Talking about the Wagner group, high-resolution satellite images reveal hundreds of tent-like structures that have appeared over the past 2 weeks at the site of a suspected Wagner camp in eastern Belarus. We told you about this a while back, that part of the agreement was that 8,000 troops were going to be able to hook up with Prigozhin, and they have nuclear weapons. Just, again, a little something to think about. This also plays into the Wagner. The United Nations Security Council today unanimously voted to end a decades-long peacekeeping mission in Mali after the West African country's military junta abruptly asked the 13,000-strong force to leave, a move the U.S. said was engineered by Russia's Wagner group. And if you've listened to the show any time at all, you know that Chris has been on here. We talked about the Wagner group and all of this before anybody knew who they were. The Federal Security Service of the Russian Federation received the task of killing the Wagner chief, Prigozhin, and the head of the main intelligence service of the Ministry of Defense reported that information. Here's a map I want to show real quick. Footprints of the Wagner group. This is the Wagner group on the African continent, in Libya, in Sudan, in the Congo, Rwanda, in Guinea-Bissau, Angola, Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, Madagascar, Mozambique. And that's just the ones, we just mentioned that the power they have in Mali, enough to get UN security forces to leave. So this is, I've got, Chris and I have talked back and forth about why is Russia and China, yeah, there are natural resources in Africa, but why is Russia and China appearing to be trying to colonize Africa? And that's gonna be a discussion that we have coming up here very soon. It's going to take longer than we've got here right now. Hey, Lori Arnold, looking good at the lake today. Lori and Spike went out for a little swim in an incredibly hot Texas afternoon. Now, this also is tied to Russia and to the Wagner group. We got the Belarus is going to be hosting the Wagner group, 8,000 troops. Belarus now has Russian nukes. The main concern at the moment is not necessarily nuclear missiles. It is the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. And I'm just going to read this. The Russians are reducing the presence on the territory of the power plant, reports the Chief Directorate of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. 3 employees of Rostom, that's the company that runs, that's their energy company, like their electric company, who led the actions of the Russians, left the station. The Ukrainian employees who signed contracts with Rostom also received recommendations to evacuate. They are instructed to leave by July 9th. Okay, I want you to keep that date in mind. I'm going to read this again. The 3 Russian Rostom employees have already left. Ukrainian employees who signed contracts with Rostom received recommendations to evacuate, instructed to leave by July 5th. Now, the number of military patrols is also gradually decreasing in the territory around the nuclear power plant itself. The personnel remaining at the station have been instructed to, quote, blame Ukraine in case of any emergencies. We've already told you that intelligence says that the cooling pond that keeps the reactors cool has been mined, and that there are trucks loaded with explosives parked next to 4 of the 6 reactors. So if there is an incident, if something does happen, it will be significant. It sounds like it's going to happen on July 5th. Why do I say keep that date in mind? Because July 5th in Russia is July 4th in the United States. So if this were to happen, it could possibly happen at a time when we are at one of our most celebratory times and not paying a whole lot of attention to what's going on in the rest of the world, including the potential start of a nuclear war. I was supposed to be done in a half an hour. I'm not going to make it, but I'm going to make it here quick. All right. It has been confirmed that there have been traces of formaldehyde and benzene in the smoke coming from the Canadian forest fires. I had this very clip back in the beginning of June, and I didn't realize at the time it was from Dutch.
I would say this would be some kind of terrorism of some kind or an attack. Here it is. Here we are. I'm going to let the images load. You can see this morning. It's clear. Just partly cloudy skies. Nothing really crazy going on there. And then, well, here's last night. Here's today. All of southeast Quebec just caught on fire, guys.
Right here's where we're looking. Right there. There's nothing, and then all of a sudden, fires break out everywhere.
Hey, beekeeper here. You guys know you're breathing.
Okay. Anyway, this guy's got a bunch of conspiracy stuff going on. I'm going to say that formaldehyde and benzene, of course, are not good to have. Not good to have in your air. With everything that's probably being burnt, there's not just trees being burnt in these fires. And there are going to be some things burnt. There's going to be some chemicals released. And that's one of the reasons I say, when they say it is hazardous out, I know y'all don't like wearing masks, but you need to wear a mask. The Prime Minister of Poland stated today, this came in 8 hours ago, stated today that he has requested for the United States to begin the deployment of nuclear weapons into Poland. Okay, let me repeat that. The Prime Minister of Poland stated today that he has requested for the United States to begin the deployment of nuclear weapons into Poland due to the recent transfer of Russian tactical nuclear weapons into the territory of Belarus. If you're a dot connector, July the 5th, Zaporizhzhia missiles in Belarus, United States missiles possibly heading into Poland. July 4th, we are going to be at our most celebratory. If the United States is ever going to be attacked, it's going to be on a Sunday morning or on a holiday. Japan proved that with December 7th, 1941. And it's been a long time. There are maybe 25% of us that are in this country that remember times of, when nuclear weapon and nuclear exchanges were a possibility. And we might be, Lindsey Graham said we are as close to nuclear war as he can remember and he was a child during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1961. I was a toddler um, during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1961, and this is probably as close as we've been when you put everything together. When you put together that Putin just had somebody, whether it was a false flag or not, just had somebody show how vulnerable Russia is, even to their own people. And we haven't seen the end of all of this yet. I hope I'm really wrong. I say this all the time. I hope I am wrong. But just remember July 5th, Russia time. President of France, Emmanuel Macron, has blamed video games and bad parenting for the mass riots that have been ongoing across the country for over 3 nights. Major mass riots have been going on. Here's a look, just a quick look at what's been happening in Paris. 4,000, all of the public transit was stopped because all of the special units, police special units, have been called out and dispersed across the country to handle what's happening. You can see the wall of protesters in the background coming towards them. All right. So France is burning. There's been 3 days and 3 nights of protests because of the death of a 17-year-old teenager at the hands of police during a traffic stop. It has set all of the angst off, and it just continues. We got confirmed metrics showing a disruption to the satellite internet provider. Showed this late last night that the Wagner Group, their cyber attack wing, had taken down Russia. So I don't know if this is all for show or if Wagner is really getting ready to try to make a move on the Putin regime. Okay, I've got a theory. that I'm going to lay out here real quick. You all remember when I first started talking about the UFO things. I said this is like the first UFO committee hearing from Congress. I said this is like a soft opening. They're just, they're kind of laying the groundwork. They're preparing us for what is yet to come. I think the same thing has been happening, and I've been reporting on it the past few days. We're seeing all this stuff coming out about Trump and his sexual perversions and his sexual predatory behaviors. We know that he was, just found guilty in order to pay $5 million for a sexual assault in a dressing room a few years back. There's the allegations about him running this Teen USA and abusing those girls. And there are a lot of people that are trying to normalize the behavior. I showed this last night. I want to bring it up again. What she says, what Donald Trump says out loud, millions of fathers with gorgeous, sexy daughters think about. You think fathers whose daughters end up in Playboy or are actresses and models who use their sex appeal to promote their attributes don't fantasize about them? It's called being human beings. No, it's not. If it is, it's not an advanced human being. It is somebody with some warped wiring, to say the least, and they are trying to normalize it. Now, here's my theory. The reason they're trying to normalize it is because Ivanka is going to come out and make a statement to put the nail in her dad's coffin as far as 80% of the country is concerned, she's going to tell everybody that he abused her. And they're already trying to normalize it. And not only with this, I want to skip the DeSantis thing. That's such a heartwarming story. But remember this, just a little 1 minute reminder.
A lot of really creepy statements, actions for sure, but statements that he's made in the past that make me very uncomfortable. Certainly as a mother, but as a person who breathes air.
You going up the Esplanade? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years.
Really creepy statements.
If Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
Creepy is not the word. And I just think that, first of all, they're bringing this other daughter, getting her ready for her time on stage because Ivanka's disappearing, and this other daughter's probably getting prepped to come out and say, no, he's never done anything like that to me. She's lying. They're laying the groundwork. That's just my opinion. Okay, that's an opinion. It's not a statement. It's not slander. It is just an opinion. Just as the opinion is that I believe he took advantage of some of these young girls, if you listen to their stories. And also there's some stuff coming out on the other side as well. Now, whether it's true or not, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. But you got to remember let's run all the way down to the bottom to remind ourselves of this. Accuse the other side of that which you are guilty. So if Trump really is guilty of this, somebody in the Biden family has to be guilty too. And there are some accusations flying around about Hunter Biden that are going to be coming out, allegedly. They may just be flying around the Republican sphere and not have any truth to them, but those allegations will be coming out, and I'm going to say I wouldn't be surprised. And my theory is we're going to hear that Donald Trump molested Ivanka. Is that her name, Ivanka? Yeah. I talked about France and what's going on. I want to touch on that one more time here real quick. This is from OSET Defender, and this is a tactical unit of the French National Police. This is in Marseille, on the southern coast. Mass looting and arson began to take place tonight. However, it appears that police are attempting to primarily stay away from the rioters, okay? As you can see, they're really moving in the opposite direction of where everything is happening. And I just wanted to kind of point that out to you so that when all this starts coming out, you got a little better frame of mind, or a little better frame of reference. When all this starts popping up in the mainstream, you've got a little heads up. I just want to make sure I get through everything because we had a conservative redneck in Danny Wayne on for a little extended period at the beginning. And we're going to close it out with another redneck. This time our liberal redneck buddy Trey Crowder. This is our last little piece of the night. And this came out today after the Supreme Court judge rulings, or Supreme Court justices' rulings.
I feel like if you could bring one of the founders forward in time and talk to him about it, he'd be like, so how goes the Supreme Court? Protecting the will of the people, keeping tyrannical powers in check. What? No, cashing checks from tyrannical powers, yeah, but that other thing, no, it's more like getting the butt of the people, if you count that. Also, some of them are cultish lunatics, and they all live to be 100, so good call on that serving for life thing. Dude, if these people are going to keep serving for life, we need to bring back consumption or something, just for them. Like, if they still cough to death at 55 every now and then, the whole thing will be more palatable, right? But here we are. They started with affirmative action. They said universities can't use race as a factor in admissions. They have to use objective, merit-based factors like GPA, SAT score, and of course, who your papa is. Right? They couldn't use race because that would be another type of discrimination, and the court says any type of discrimination is wrong. Meanwhile, in the very next case, the plaintiff was like, hey, can we put up a no queer sign? And they were just like, well, I don't see why not, right? That one's the most ridiculous one, dude, because it's a made-up case against made-up gays, and the court still ruled against them. It's crazy. And as far as the student loan relief thing, man, in a country where all of the most rich and powerful people, including members of this court, they all have handouts, kickbacks, bailouts, loopholes, PPP loans, corporate welfare, and all of that is not only accepted but considered sacrosanct, right? In that same country, generations of 18-year-olds, many of whom have barely been taught how bank accounts work, and all of whom have been told by every authority figure in their entire life that if they don't borrow that money for that reason at that time, they have no chance at a home, family, or future. So they do, only to discover 10 years later that the game was rigged from the start. Those people, verily, they must pay. That's how it works in this country. It is, as long as the GOP has any power. I can tell you that right now, dude. It's truly a shame that a party which has won one popular vote in 20 damn years is able to stack the deck like this, all because of some cosmic game of bucket kicking bingo. But here we are, and the message could not be more clear. The ethos of the Republican Party is bad for almost everyone. Okay, if you're not literally a male member of the landed gentry, they will make your life worse.
There we go. That is Trey Crowder finishing up our little bit for tonight. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for clicking on. And we'll be back tomorrow night, tomorrow evening, early afternoon. It depends on the weather. But we're going to be up and we're going to watch some rock and roll bands, maybe a country band to start out. But I hear they're a good country band. We'll see. And then we're going to catch a tribute band to Nirvana, a Nirvana tribute band, and a Red Hot Chili Pepper tribute band. I don't know if we'll see all of them or not. It depends on how good they are. I think Melvis might join me up there and join me on the stream. But that's what's going on tomorrow as far as like in real life stuff. Any news stuff happens, I'll hop on ahead of time and make sure and get it out there to everybody as quick as we possibly can if there's anything worth knowing about. Thanks for your time. Consider hitting that like button. Consider subscribing, notifying, and consider sharing this and sharing the information with others. A lot of stuff in there, a lot of things to think about. And that's what we do here. Love you. Thank you all for being here. Peace. Live long and prosper. Namaste. Shalom. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Blessings be upon you. It's a dark world. Try to be a light. I do love you all. That's for real. See you soon.